Like many other diesel, electric and hybrid vehicles, the 2-litre diesel engine in this 2016 Volkswagen Amarok doesn't really inspire that performance feeling. To do that, it at least needs to sound like a performance vehicle. This is why the Kufatec Sound Booster has been gaining so much popularity recently. Without a doubt, it is the most versatile exhaust upgrade currently on the market, and today we're going to guide you through our step-by-step process to install the complete system.
Welcome to the Integrated Solutions video series, brought to you by Autofidelity and hosted by Terence Toh.
Hi, I'm Terence Toh, and welcome to this episode of Integrated Solutions. The Kufatec Sound Booster Pro product is becoming more and more popular with our customers here at Autofidelity, and for good reason. The Sound Booster system is the most versatile exhaust upgrade that we know of, giving up to 6 different exhaust sound profiles or allowing you to just switch it off completely at the push of a button. If you're not familiar with the Sound Booster product yet, we have many other videos including demonstration videos, how to customize profiles with Sound Booster software, and installations into other vehicles. You can find our previous videos at autofidelity.com.au. Today we'll be installing the Kufatec Sound Booster into this 2016 Volkswagen Amarok. Although we'll be guiding you through a complete installation for the Amarok, we will be sharing many tips which will help you no matter which car you're working with. To find a complete list of vehicles which are currently compatible with the Sound Booster, visit kufatec.com.au. We'll be following a basic 7-step process which consists of 1. Layout system components and positioning, 2. Vehicle disassembly, 3. Installation, 4. Initial testing, 5. Vehicle reassembly, 6. Final testing and system setup, and 7. Final checks. The process that we use in our workshop is slightly more involved than this and includes things like a vehicle pre-inspection and post-inspection as well as vehicle diagnostic checks. The first step is to lay out the system components for installation. This will give us an overview of all the components in the system, and we can then see exactly where each component will be positioned and which parts of the car will need to be disassembled. Okay, so firstly we call this maybe a sound actuator or sound generator. This will actually mount to the exhaust in the car. This is what makes that great sound that we hear, makes it sound like a performance car. Then next, just over here, we've got, this is the Kufatec Sound Booster Pro module. So this will mount underneath the dash on the driver's side. We want it to stay accessible, so we can just make it so it's accessible through the side panel in the car. And the reason we want to do that is because, hopefully you can see that, it's got a little USB port on the side of it. And we want to be able to access that later on. We've already done a video which will actually show you how to adjust the sound profiles in the Sound Booster system. So you'll be able to do all that as long as you can access that little USB port. We've also got the active sound module that basically runs the sound actuator or the sound generator. And then over here we've got a wiring harness. The wiring harness is mostly plug and play. There are a few connections, mainly power, earth and can high, can low connections that we'll have to actually find the connections in the car for. But other than that, fairly well, plug and play. We've got a connector here that goes to the active sound module, connector here that goes to the Sound Booster module. This connector over here goes to the sound, runs the sound actuator, and we've put one of our little switches on it. So these are a nice, neat little switch, a little bit different to what comes with in the package with the actual Kufatec kit, but it's a much easier little button to mount. Okay, so here we have all the tools that are necessary to install your Sound Booster system. Let's start over here. Little work light, very handy to be able to get in and see underneath the dash and underneath the car. We've got a 17mm spanner here. You'll need that to be able to remove the anchor point for the seat belt. Now, just a note on that, when you're putting back the seat belt, you should really be using a torque wrench, which is one of these things. Now, depending on exactly what type of car you're working on, you'll need to check the factory settings or the manufacturer's settings, torque settings for the seatbelt anchor points. Okay, so just moving on, we've got these here, which are a pair of crimpers. This is for a little connector, which you'll see as part of the installation. That's what we put into the fuse box. You need a little crimp tool to be able to crimp that to the wire. Okay. Side cutters, handy for obviously cutting wire, cutting ends off cable ties and things like that. Some fabric tape, always necessary. Cable ties for things like mounting modules and when you're running wiring harnesses and things like that. Then we go to 13mm socket, okay, and you'll need one of these as well. And that will help you to remove and refit the exhaust system. So the exhaust uses, the brackets on the exhaust are 13mm, and also the bracket that mounts the actual sound booster itself uses 13mm bolts, okay. Some Sikaflex. Now, when you run the wiring through underneath the car, you'll need to seal up the hole with some Sikaflex, even though we use a little grommet. So the little grommet that comes out of the hole we'll dispose of, but we can put a new rubber grommet in, and then we can Sikaflex over the top of that. And then last couple of bits and pieces, we've got a couple of, I like to call them trim tools. Just make it much easier to remove trims without damaging them, and also a couple of pieces of Velcro that'll help us when we're mounting the module. It just basically helps us to keep the module stable and then make sure that the module doesn't rattle against anything, because the Velcro provides a little bit of a buffer for rattles. And that should be all you need. Now we know where everything needs to be positioned, we can start to disassemble the car. Okay, so we start with a couple of panel poppers. I'm going to remove this panel, which are fairly simple, and just pop the fuse box down. Let's just pop the fuse box down first. There's a couple of little, it's difficult to see from there. A couple of little things here, and that fuse box will pop down there. We want to be able to use that to tap into power. And then if we pop one of these poppers into here, right, that panel comes straight off, and then this panel here on both sides just unclips. You've got to move the steering adjuster down a bit out of the way, and then pop this panel out all the way. First step done. Okay, now to run some wiring, we're actually going to have to pull these base panels up. We'll run the wiring underneath. So first thing we'll need to do is unbolt the seatbelt bolt here. And then we'll pull off this trim, and then that'll allow us to pull this base trim off. So 17mm spanner. See if we use that the right way. Loosen this off. And the seatbelt bolt should come out relatively easily. Just keep tension on that. I tend to prefer not to allow it to go all the way back in, and just attach it somewhere. And then this little switch here will need to get pulled out as well. Fairly simple to do, it just pops straight out. Then you can unplug it from the back here just by pushing down on the little tab and sliding it out. Okay, and then now to pull this trim out here, it'd be easier if you just kind of make a little bit of space in here behind the actual, so just remove the rubber slightly, make a little bit of room, and then pops out at the top. I might have to go around the other side quickly. There we go. A little bit stubborn. Then it will just unclip the rest of the way down. Now that's got just a couple of locking kind of tabs at the bottom. So if you try to pull the bottom out first, fair chance you're going to break something. Okay, so there's two separate panels here. The back panel will just need to be popped out first, and then this panel here will be pretty easy, and this goes all the way through to the front there. We'll show you that from the other side, but basically, there you go. Don't even really need the panel popper for that one. That panel pops straight up. Then we can start popping this panel up. Might just move this out of the way. That's the back section, and then we'll get the rest from around the other side. Okay, so last thing now, this panel here should be able to pop straight up. There we go. And then hopefully you can see that. Use this to help me. Slide the panel popper just in underneath it, just gently pry it upwards, and it'll pull straight up. And very carefully, we'll pick that clip up in a second, very carefully pull it out without damaging anything. Okay, so we'll also have to pull this kick trim out. Just to make life easier, run the wiring down. So just pop the rubber out a little bit first. Okay, and then the kick trim just is basically clipped in. So there we go. And there's a little clip there. Should probably move that out of the way. There we go. So that's the kick trim out as well. Now that we have removed all the panels, we can get started on the installation. Okay, so now we've started on doing the installation. The next steps were really difficult to show you on video, but I'll give you a bit of an explanation of exactly what we've gone through. So to begin with, we've taped these modules together and we've started running the wiring harness. This wiring harness runs in behind here. These modules eventually will be mounted just in this little cavity here. All right, and the wiring runs down underneath the carpet here alongside the factory harness, and you can see this little wiring harness here. All right, and we've cable tied it alongside the factory wiring harness, and it's all covered in fabric tape for us there. All right, and then the next thing that we've done is there is an earth bolt just behind the kick trim here. It's just a 10mm bolt, so you can basically unbolt that, put the earth into it and bolt it back up again. That's nice and simple. Then there is the we've got power from the actual fuse box. Okay, you'll need ignition power from the fuse box. So just test the you can just test the fuse bank, and if you get a little terminal like this is a special little terminal that we use, which can actually go directly into the fuse box, and that'll allow you to tap off fused power, so you can put your own fuse in and you can be on the fused side of the power. All right. For those terminals, you also need a crimp tool that looks something like that, and that'll allow you to crimp it properly. I think we did show how to do the crimp connection on a previous video that we did, which was for the Blackview drive recorder system. So if you want to learn how to do that kind of stuff, all those basic things, just check out that video. The last two connections are up here above the fuse box, and we've actually taken a couple of photos, so maybe somehow we'll post those up with the video. But they go to, so it's CAN high and CAN low connections, and they go into connector B on the central electronics module, which is mounted up above the fuse box here, and CAN high will go to orange black, and CAN low will go to orange brown. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a good description. But basically, the wiring, you want to run it nice and neatly aside from those connections, you obviously, the last thing will go back into the main cable will go back to the actual sound generator or sound actuator, and then we've just run the switch wiring just across the top here. Difficult to see again, but just across the top here. It's quite easy to route the wiring with other wiring that's already there, so just look for the factory wiring, okay? And it just goes across the top and into here, and the switch, in our case, we've mounted it just in front of the actual gear shift, and we can show you that as well. Okay, so now to mount the modules, we're going to just put a bit of Velcro underneath it. So this will just help to stick things down initially and to prevent any rattles and things like that. And now the module, like I said, will come up into this cavity, which is a little bit tight. There we go. And hopefully you can see there's a little bracket here. So we're going to just mount through this bracket. And then we'll still be able to get to this little USB connection here. Don't know if you can see that in there. And then we'll go around with some cable ties just to keep everything in place properly. Okay, so now that we've got that cable tied in, it's nice and solid, we can get in here and just cut the ends of the cable ties off. And then that's the interior of the car finished. And now we need to mount the actual sound actuator to the exhaust. All right, so now what we've done so far is we've run wiring in through. There's a factory grommet just up here. I know it's really difficult to see, but you can run the wiring through. You'll need to replace the actual grommet. So the factory grommet that comes out, a bit difficult to get it back in again. So you can just replace that with a new rubber grommet, and then put a bit of silicone or Sikaflex over the connection, just to stop water going back through. So that connection just needs to come to approximately here. We've put the car up on a hoist, just so that we can show you exactly how this is done. But you won't normally need to put the car up on a hoist to actually install this. This is really just so we can demonstrate for you. There's enough room so you can kind of crawl in underneath the car and just mount the sound booster straight up in the Amaroks anyway. So to begin with, need a 13mm socket, and we're going to undo this clamp right here. We'll undo. So there's just two 13mm nuts there. And that'll separate the front and the rear. Well, we'll separate the rear muffler from the exhaust. Should just be able to slide that around then, which we can. And then quite simply, the sound booster, if we move this exhaust out of the way, the sound booster can just slide straight on. It's a nice simple procedure, and it'll sit up like that, just so that the exhaust is actually, so that the sound is actually coming down towards the ground. It'll probably make it a little bit easier if you just connect that in first. Okay. That way you just won't have to try to access the connection later on. And now, bolt it up around about there. It's the same size nuts on this bracket here. Okay, nice and tight. Just make sure that's not going to move anywhere, which it's not. And then this bracket here just slides back again. It's like a sleeve basically. And bolt these back up again. The whole exhaust now should be nice and solid. Again, sound booster, that should not move. Well, the sound actuator shouldn't move anywhere. The exhaust will move around a little bit because it's mounted on rubber mounts anyway, but no big deal there. So that's essentially completed what we've got to do underneath the car. It's fairly simple to do. And what we can do now is just some initial testing just to make sure everything works before we put the car back together. Now, just before we put everything back together in this car, we just want to make sure everything works properly. So we'll get someone else up there to start the car up for us quickly. And now we'll just try a couple of different tones just to make sure the system actually works. Definitely sounds good. All right, done. Working, we can put it all back together. Now that we know the system is working, we can reassemble the car and do the final tests on the system. Okay, so now that we've got everything installed, we've done some initial testing, we can start reassembling the car. Let's get started. Make sure the seatbelt bolt's tight, eh? Okay, so looking at positions for mounting the switch, and what we're going to do in this car is we're going to mount the switch just in front of this, just kind of towards the front of this little panel here, so we can put our finger down and just kind of hit the switch there, okay? Now, you can actually get factory replacements for these, and we've done it before, so that you can actually push a button and trigger the sound booster from there and change to the different sound profiles from a factory style switch. You'd have to order that in. Normally takes a few weeks to get them. So in this case, we're going to put this switch in, and if we want to put a factory switch in, we can put that in later on. So all we've got to do is basically remove this panel. We've already got the wiring under here. So if we just pull up on this panel here, fairly solid little clips. So pop the front section out, and then you can just use something here to pop the back out as well. Okay, and that panel will come up far enough, and then you can just attach the switch to the front of the panel and run the wiring up from underneath. Okay, we now have everything back together again, and we've also completed basic testing. But now it's time to do some more thorough testing on the system to make sure all the features are working correctly. Okay, so now we can do some final testing. So start the car up. So this is just a standard mode, and this is what the 2-litre diesel Amarok sounds like. And then let's try, we've got a few tones set up here already, so hopefully you can still hear me okay, but this is how much of a difference it makes. Let's try a different tone. This one's a little bit quieter to start off with. and back off again. So now you can get out there and have a bit of fun with your newly installed Kufatec Sound Booster. We really appreciate your feedback. So if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, like it and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to know more about this and similar products, you can visit us at autofidelity.com.au or contact us by email at solutions@autofidelity.com. You can also make suggestions for future episodes of Integrated Solutions by emailing us at solutions@autofidelity.com. The more requests we get for a video, the more likely we are to make it. So send us an email and let us know if there is something that you would really like to see. Thanks for watching and have a great day. We're going to guide you through our step-by-step process to... What was that? Oh, I can't do it. Now it's time to do some more thorough testing to make... We really appreciate your feedback. So if you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more, like it, subscribe to our channel. Like it and subscribe to our channel. Ha! Try that again.